Call meeting to order. In accordance with state statute section 84-1412, the Open Meetings Act is posted in the north wall of the council chambers for public information. Would you join me in the pledge of allegiance, please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Debbie, would you do the roll call, please?
Stokely.
Here.
Penrose.
Here.
Swenson.
Here.
Boozy.
Here.
Hugo.
Here.
Smith.
Here. Okay, consent agenda, no city appointed boards and commissions, fire and rescue departments, we have nothing. Approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, treasurer's report, everything's good there. Claims, everybody get a chance to go over those, any questions on that? We'll just need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Tom, seconded by Rusty, cast your votes please. Okay, public hearings, we have none. Bids, we have none this evening. Third business, item 1, discuss the Payables property for the levy project.
I don't want to start this. Do you want to start it?
Well, I can start. I can report that, first of all, my name is Mike Tassett. As some of you may remember, voting, thank you. I was here a couple months ago, introduced myself. I do represent Al. He is present. I did talk to the city attorney this morning. We've been in communication since my last appearance here and exchanged some ideas about how this situation could be resolved. And so Al and I have been communicating with it. One of the interests, and the primary one that Al has at this point, there's two of them, I guess. One of them is not to impede the project. He wants the project to proceed on schedule and as planned by the city. And two, he wants to protect his property interest at the same time. What I discussed with Damien this morning, and we kind of kicked this around previously too, is to enter into an agreement that would permit the project to proceed on Al's property in whatever way the design requires it to. Al would not object to and would specifically consent to any work required under the plans to occur on his property without restriction or any sort of objection by him. And then once the project is built, then that would put Al into a situation where he can better assess what damage, if any, the project could be viewed to have caused his property interest. Then we figure out how much that damage is, hopefully agree on the amount, and resolve the compensation issue in that way. I know a lot of the other takings that have occurred up to this point in connection with the project have been resolved by agreement ahead of time through an agreed upon amount of money, and we're not ready to do that. There are some considerations that I've discussed before, and I think that are fairly apparent that distinguish Al's situation from some of the other ones that touches and concerns. And so that's our position, and hopefully we can figure out a way to make it work. I know there's probably some devils in the details, but the broad contours of our suggestion and proposal is that the project proceed as designed and as planned on Al's property to the extent that it needs to occur there. And once it's done, then we'll figure out what to do as far as the compensation goes. You got to come over here too. All right.
I think that's the protocol. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As Mr. Tassett said, we did have a conversation, and the basic idea would be to allow construction to proceed. We would draft up some type of agreement and figure out how it would work. But construction could then proceed, and then later we'd have to figure out how to address the compensation issue. My personal opinion is it seems a pretty reasonable way to do that, assuming we can get the right agreements in place. The thing I would point out to the council is that if construction commences and the city essentially got some sort of agreement to acquire the property up front, and then the city is going to address the compensation on the back end, that just understand that obviously once you start construction and do things, you're locked in. And so we would have to figure out what the mechanism would be if the city and Mr. Pagels ultimately can't agree to a compensation mechanism, whether there would be an appraisal process, or whether at that time there would be some type of court proceeding to determine the compensation. But if construction's already decided, and then, for instance, there's ultimately a court proceeding because the parties can't agree upon the compensation, the number may come in different from what the city had anticipated, but you've already basically bought it. You can't unbuy it later. So that's the only caveat that I would add. But other than that, I think that it seems like a reasonable proposal so that the city can start construction on the deadlines and whatever schedule it needs to. Hopefully figure out the compensation piece later. If there's any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them the best I can.
I'm trying to figure out how to say this. So basically, we're gonna have to proceed with the Levy project. I think everybody understands that, and that's what I'm understanding is coming forward here at this point. At that stage, then, the only other alternative we have is to agree to the appraisal process. Is that right, Union? Is that what we're looking at here?
Alternative to what's being proposed
Yes.
currently? Well, yeah, I mean, essentially, at some point, the alternative is to use the eminent domain procedure. If the parties can't voluntarily reach an agreement, then eminent domain is what's invoked. What I think is being proposed tonight is that there would be an agreement that essentially allows sale. It's kind of like buying the car now, and we're going to figure out the price later, so that construction can start. I don't know, I'm not privy to what all the city's construction schedule is, so I don't know what the timeline is or when things need to start. But, at some point, if the parties can't ultimately agree, then the city's recourse is eminent domain. That's what we're going to come in at. And that's the mechanism that I talked about at a previous council meeting, where the first step is three appraisers are appointed by the county court. And then if they assess the appraised value, put a number to it, and if either of the parties doesn't like it, then they can appeal the full court process to determine the value that needs to be paid for their compensation. So, as Mr. Tassa said, if we do an agreement like what's being proposed, the devil kind of is in the details. You're getting the property up front, and then the parties would have to work on an agreement as to, either later we figure out a compensation number, and everybody says, yep, that's fine, and that's what's paid. If the parties can't agree, then we'd have to try and figure out what's going to happen if we can't agree down the road. And those possibilities that I would foresee would be, parties could agree, well, we're just going to use our own appraisal process. So for instance, if the city and Mr. Pagels are fine with it, we get to do a mechanism where, okay, each party is going to select their appraiser, and if those appraisers are within 10% of each other, then you average them or something. There's various ways, and I've done it in all sorts of ways in real estate and in buy and sell property businesses. So there are different valuation techniques that you can use. The parties may agree upon some type of process where we're just going to be bound to some appraisal. Alternatively, the parties could say, well, look, the city's going to buy the property now. We'll try and agree down the road. If we can't agree down the road, then there will be an eminent domain proceeding. We'll just follow the steps of the court.
So that process never does leave the table if we don't get to a certain agreement.
The only way it leaves the table is that we're going to have to do, if we do some type of agreement now, whereby the city is essentially purchasing the property, what I would envision would be there would be some type of timetable and some type of protocol as to then how things are going to unfold, right? So within, a certain amount of time, because you want to finalize the deal, you don't want to leave everything open-ended, right? So the city's acquiring the property now, and I would, in my head, envision that we have some type of agreement that would lay out and specify, what the next steps are, including, how long the parties are going to negotiate for, and whether there's going to be a certain, timeline down the road by which either we've got an agreement or we don't, and then it would specify what happens next, and whether we use an appraisal process or whether then the parties have the right to court or whatever. So I would expect that to kind of be more agreed upon up front as part of the whole deal.
So I just have a question, I guess, is that, with the buying the car now and debating the price later, I guess, that would just seem to me that the car is worth more in your eyes than it is to our eyes, which I guess we probably know that, maybe, which is fine. Other than the fact that then we need to know maybe what you think the car is worth, which maybe we already kind of know that, but I mean, the difference in what we think the car is worth, what you think the car is worth is obviously night and day from what I'm gathering. That's not even kind of in the ballpark.
Without getting, and that's my question, I guess, what, kicking the can down the road.
That doesn't solve the problem, I guess.
Appreciate, but how does, when the construction's done, prove anything more than it does now? I guess help me out with that.
There's two things. There's a lot of uncertainty now as to how the project is ultimately going to affect not only Mr. Al's insurance premiums, but his flood insurance. You know where his place is.
Sure.
Basically, in the.
Lives across the street from me, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We rode together.
Yeah.
because, so there's that. The insurance company that provides the flood insurance for Al, who has a very nice place in this area, is going to have to reevaluate the premiums they charge him for the insurance after the project is built. Once the project is built, the insurance company can evaluate the risk that the project, either the increase in risk the project has resulted in, or the decrease, or the unchanged nature of the risk.
Is there some factual information that would lead you to believe, though, that could happen?
Yeah,
That's
the fact is the levee is at a certain height now. It's going to be raised.
Right.
And the water that would go over the levee right now today is going to be going back towards Al's place. And I know that there are science questions involved here.
Okay.
And there are engineers and professionals who whose job it is and whose training it is to be able to provide opinions about the questions that we think are still unclear the answers to. But everybody's got an opinion. The advantage, I think, of our proposal is that once more information, more complete information is known, that will enable Al to more properly evaluate the nature of his damage and enable us to make more certain proposals to you, other than just speculating, as we've kind of done up to this point, what impact the property or the project may have on Al's property. So you guys know Al, a lot of you do, it sounds like, and he's not going to be unreasonable. He doesn't want to impede the project. He knows, because I'm his lawyer and I've told him, that ultimately, if he's not able to come to an agreement with you about how much should be paid to compensate him for the property, the court system will. And the court system isn't going to award him money for his damages that's out of line with what the evidence shows. He's have to prove he's entitled to whatever amount he wants in court. The court system, a lot of times, is criticized, but it generally works. And it would not operate, I predict, to award him an unfair amount of money for whatever damage he does get from the project being constructed. So nobody wants to go to court, including Al, not me, even though that's my job. It's not my intent to try to get us into a lawsuit. What I do want, though, and I think this is in line with what we, our position we've taken before, we want the project to proceed in a timely way that doesn't compromise the city's interest in the completion of the project. But we don't want to have a problem with Al's property being damaged as a result of the construction of it. Once we know what it looks like, how it turns out, then we'll know for sure. That's the interest.
So what timelines are we looking at for?
Yeah, thank you. I should have asked that. That was one of the questions I had. How long is this going to take to do the project?
Well, we're looking at completion in September 2025.
Okay, all right, a matter of a few months then.
Right.
And so that's helpful.
Because right now, at this stage, we've got to divert it to the north end until we get this resolved. I know they really want to get going on the dirt moving as soon as weather allows, and it's been a little unpredictable lately. But I think once everything starts mobilizing, they're going to want to move pretty quick.
Yeah, and we're offering as quick as you want to do it. You can do it tomorrow if you wanted to. If we can we got to do this paperwork to authorize in writing the access and the permissions that I will be giving, which will be total and complete and whatever is required. But Damien and I have an interest in making sure that there aren't any problems that would slow this down or make an issue out of something that can be avoided. So we're ready to proceed right now.
So we're looking at having the aspect of that put to bed at the April 1 council meeting.
Yeah, is that when
But that will be the next council meeting, which obviously I think you guys are gonna want to see the agreement.
Yes.
And approve it, you know, at your recommendation, David, that's, so I guess from my perspective, I would think you guys would want to see that a couple days ahead of the council meeting at least, you know, so.
Now, don't bring it that night.
Could I ask when the next meeting is?
The next council meeting is April 1st
Okay.
at 5:30. So typically what we would like to see is this would be in their hands the 26th or 27th.
Sooner the better.
Doable on my end.
Mine too.
Okay.
We have the legal descriptions and there's not a controversy with respect to the boundaries or to the contours of the project. So I think that it should come together pretty quickly.
And then I think you were saying about, you know, not being open-ended just even after the project's done then too. I mean, is that like a 30-day, 90-day, 120-day? Like what's our, you know, open-ended, non-open-ended end to that?
Yeah, so that I don't know, and that's the details that I think would need to be sorted out and be part of the agreement as to, once construction is done, then what are the next steps? Because I don't think we want to leave it just hanging out there.
Right.
No, we don't, and one of the linchpins to, and forgive me for speaking from the chair, one of the primary deciding factors is going to be the insurance evaluation. Val's insurance goes up $1,000 a month. He's not planning on moving any time. You know, 10 years from now, at $1,000 a month, if it stays the same, is a six-figure situation. So we would want to have some feedback from the flood insurance people, which could be had after the project is built. And that's really the determining factor. No one's going to want to buy Al's place if they have to pay $3,000 a month simply for flood insurance. And that's going to diminish the value of his property, if in fact that turns out to be the case. We understand that people now think that it's going to be fine. There's not going to be any increase in the flood insurance premium. And that may turn out to be true. And hopefully it does. Al doesn't want to pay any more than what he currently is. And but we don't know that yet, and we will, I think, be in a lot better position to know shortly after the project is completed whether it's going to go up or not to that effect.
One question I have from a legal perspective, this just came to mind. So this is all because Al's on the side that it's not part of the accredited levy, correct?
Correct.
He's like, I don't have to have flood insurance, right? I'm 100 yards from the river. Hindsight, so is there any worry about anyone else downriver from a legal perspective? That if we do something to the levee and other properties downriver, just make an example here, because there'll be something on paper now, that a flood happens, and our West Point's saved by our levee, but people downriver that chose to live on the other side, and creates havoc. Is there any, from a legal perspective? It just popped in my head, I just was thinking about that.
You mean a risk of
Or if their flood insurance premiums go up and we're giving out money for other people's flood insurance money is going up, then
I do have an answer for that.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things that, one of the things that took so long with this levee project is getting the hydrology study done and what that cause and effect of changing that levee would be to the rest of this,
Especially for
the stream. Right. And that's part of what's encompassed in this process and in this project.
For the Corps of Engineers.
Is for the Corps of Engineers, because they have to see any unequivocal change.
So technically, their liabilities in their design.
Correct.
Effective.
Yes,
right?
yes. And they have to prove that to the Army Corps that it's not gonna have a negative impact downstream or upstream
That's,
to the other.
and Al's right on that, literally right across the street from the, so I'm just saying if it's, you know, Al's right here, but let's say my brother-in-law who lives 6 miles downstream, you know, I'm just,
Right, and that all has to be accounted for in the levy process. And that was one of the things that took for, like, the lack of terms is forever to get done. And that has been done, in that hydrology study.
That makes sense.
There you go.
So,
I've got a question.
well, what were you gonna say to that, Damien?
yeah.
Well, each has different questions.
Yeah.
So, on the insurance issue, I don't, my opinion, again, other attorneys may disagree, but I don't think the insurance impacts the value of the taking, right? So when the city's acquiring property, I don't think that whether insurance goes up or down has a direct impact on that. I don't think the city can be liable for increased insurance costs because it builds a levy. The two liabilities that, and I'm just speaking in general,
Yeah.
the two types of liabilities that a city can face are one, negligence, right? So if there's something wrong with the design itself, instead of the negligence of having design, there can always be liability for negligence just as if there's a car
The
accident.
Corps of Engineers show.
But or the city's engineer, yeah, that's an engineering issue. From an eminent domain takings perspective, the law is such that a governmental entity, this gets a little gray area, but they can't be liable for a one-time deal, right? Because if there's just a flood and something happens, they can't be liable for it. What they can be liable for is if they design something that is like repeatedly flooding. So if you design something in a way that it makes somebody's property a floodplain, right, then the law says, well, you're effectively taking it, even though you haven't paid for it, because you're doing this almost intentionally, because you know it's gonna recur, keep doing it. Again, on this specific issue, I wouldn't think that would be an issue, but.
Right, if every year Al's property becomes this beautiful lakefront property.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
More money,
They're building it all over.
I never thought about all that.
Yeah, we're doing you a favor.
No, it's a valid question, you know, like what does this open up the city to with respect to?
I have a question for Al's lawyer. Why do we have to wait until the project is completed before your insurance company can do that? They have all the plans and they've got all the levies and everything where we're raising it to, and why does it have to be completed before you can do that?
Well, it may not. I mean, the premise of your question could be correct. It's just, there's as designed and as built. And there is, I think the fact that the Corps of Engineers took so long to complete whatever studies they required before this project could move forward, there's complexity and there's uncertainty, and once the project's just built, we could see how it turned out. And I think have a better idea from the insurance company, for example, what impact they think it's going to have. They can look at the plans and write based on that, but I think they would rather see what it actually turns out like. Now, speaking to a point that Damien made, where, as I understood it, he was suggesting that the city isn't liable to pay Al's increased premiums for his flood insurance due to the project. That is, I believe, correct. They're not. However, what the project's liability would be directed toward, in other words, what the city's payment to Al would be based on, is the decrease or the diminution of the value of Al's property. And I think that it's really not open to dispute that if Al's property is worth X today and his insurance premiums go up by $1,000 a month, it's going to be worth substantially less than X in the aftermath of those premium increases. Any appraiser would tell you that. And that would be the measure of the damages. And so, yeah, to be fair about it, the designs are complete. I've seen them, but there's the insurance company hasn't decided to evaluate the project until it's done, according to what I understand it. And so we're going to wait for that, or we propose to. And if we don't come to this agreement, perhaps that's something that I should refer to Then the other option is just plain old start up the court activity. And nobody wants that. Al certainly doesn't. That would slow this project down unnecessarily because we're willing to permit the project to proceed today. So I just think this is from our perspective, the best we can do to avoid conflict and expense and controversy, to express Al's commitment to his civic responsibilities here by not standing in the way of this important project, and also for Al to be treated fairly in the end, without any real prejudice to any of the people in the community. As the project is built, you no longer have to pay flood. The people on the other side of this thing, I don't think they're gonna have to pay flood insurance anymore.
I never had to.
Well, and it sounds like, from what I understand, quite a few other people won't have to going forward too. And so that's great. Al's gonna have to, no matter what. And so that's the best I can do, but that's a legitimate question. I don't.
No, I don't disagree. The only question I have is, when is your renewals due, so we can line that up with?
It came a month or two ago.
All right.
And again, he said it a lot better than I ever would. My biggest concern has always been, I didn't come gunning for all kinds of money. My concern is if insurance rates, my flood insurance rates go up because of the levee, not natural rising costs like we've all seen.
Right.
If because of the levee, my insurance rates go up, I don't want to be that guy, but I don't think I'm liable for that.
I guess my question, let me rephrase it a little bit, is if we're gonna do this agreement and the completion is September, say your renewal is this month, right? You just renewed, paid a year. So then we're now, 18 months out from your next renewal till we'll really see the change in your potential flood insurance, right? So I'm just trying to, the open-endedness of the agreement.
I talked to the insurance company and they said that they have to wait for FEMA to come in and reevaluate. I called FEMA, they sent me a letter and they said after the project is completed, they will come in and redo this all. And hopefully this is all for nothing. You guys are 100% convinced that my rates won't go up and this is all for nothing. I mean, but...
So it'll be fairly real time anyway. So
well, it might be, I don't know how long it takes FEMA to come in and get to the insurance company after all this. I apologize.
Right.
If we have to wait for accreditation, and the way, that really makes me nervous, because...
Well, FEMA works at the speed of light, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought they were the.
Well, no, that's my question. In all fairness to you, Al, I'm trying to get you a good timeline is, when are you gonna know your rates are gonna change? Because let's say, I guess like Tom's saying, FEMA may not come in until 2030 and accredit this thing, because that's how FEMA works, right? So.
Well, we all know what's going on at the federal government level now with different agencies and everything else.
Right.
And I don't mean to downplay you're turning this into a political football. But I would not hang my hat on FEMA showing up at the door anytime soon.
And that's how do we put a timeline on this if it could be years, right?
I think cylinders.
Because then years go by and then guess what, your property's worth a lot more then, but we need to value it in today's date.
See, and when I talk to the insurance carriers too, and I talk to Al about this, is, that's what they look at. FEMA's the one that sets that 100-year floodplain issue or the 100-year flood level issue. And that's what you pay your flood insurance on, that basis. Now, when they come in and reset that, that's anybody's guess. And when they do, that's even the bigger guess. Because I know.
One other thing, Al, even though your insurance premium on your house may go up, I'm assuming that the insurance premium on your business will go down. So.
But I don't have insurance on it, but I get that. Won't argue that.
Okay.
But I don't think it's going to be in perspective. I have no idea.
A lot of this we can figure out between, legal, but we just gotta figure out a timeline, because we can't have this thing open-ended for 5 years either, because, hell, you're probably gonna be worth 20 million in 5 years if the way things are going up. So,
To go back to that discussion of accreditation, that accreditation is gonna be the ability of that levy to protect the city of West Point.
Right,
It's not gonna, I hate to say this, but the accreditation is gonna care about you,
right.
you know, at that stage and what you're doing on that side of the levy. But the accreditation is based upon how it protects the city of West Point.
Because I think what you guys are asking is fair, and I'm fine with that. I'm just trying to figure out how this actually comes to a close at some point, right, without,
And I guess I would ask what the interest the city has in resolving the compensation issue so quickly. If the project is built, the benefits have been bestowed on the people in the community, everyone's protected. What difference does it make if it takes 5 months, 5 days, or 5 years for the determination to be made how much Al is owed? And I understand, at the same time, having done this job for a long time in a row, I understand there's a substantial interest in finality of legal disputes. No one likes to have matters pending or hanging or dangling or not tied off when they can be. But the city's interest is in completing this project, and we're offering a clear path to that today. So, but having said all that, I'm not against some timelines being introduced into our agreement that Davey and I can work on. I'm not trying to do anything to string this out any longer than is necessary to get a fair result.
I just didn't want anybody to have the thought that, you know, we're gonna get an answer from FEMA 6 months after the levee's built. You know, I mean, that's the thing that I need to make sure everybody understands here, is that there's no guarantee that that's gonna come that quickly. So, I mean, like you said, it's, the details
yeah.
are gonna be the challenge, so.
You two to figure out.
But I think, you know, if everybody's in agreement to keep this thing moving forward, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a tough road if we're gonna wait on FEMA.
So your house is still gonna be above the levee when it gets all said and done?
Yep.
Okay. I sure feel sorry for French's there on the other side. You're gonna drag them into this mix. Is there, you're higher and they're gonna really be built on.
So I guess we just start looking on a draft if that's what everybody wants to do.
He's gonna give us the right to do the work on it that we need.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, it's gonna be a matter of those two getting the
Get a
details.
signature from them.
That's gonna be the initial agreement, is to proceed with the work, right?
Yeah, and I think the timetable is realistic. I can come back on the 1st. And Damien, I don't know what Damien has going on. Everyone is busy, obviously, but we have enough time to put this together and come back prior to the 1st with to present an agreement to the body that can be considered prior to the meeting.
Okay.
Sounds good. Everybody in agreement? Okay, thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Yep.
Fellas,
Thanks, Al.
thanks.
Yeah, thank you for having
Believe it or not, do appreciate you guys getting shot at from 2 directions every month like this.
No, that's fine.
No,
That's what we're here for.
exactly. So I'm sign up.
We're good at ducking.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, item 2, authorized bidding for the salt shed that's started on Winnemex.
Yeah, well, you know, this has come up a couple different times, and,
Several years ago.
yeah, and it's been one of those.
I vote yes.
Here's got big practice.
Oh,
I have another one in there. I vote for the salt shed.
Anyway, the budget number is gonna be right around a $65,000 number for the salt shed itself. The blocks, we're already working on getting those here, that's gonna be around $12,000 hit. And I think at the end of the day, it's gonna probably save us some money on some of the materials and stuff that we put into it, so. I'll have those bids hopefully for you next month if you approve going out for outright bidding project.
so moved.
Okay, motion made by Rusty, seconded by Ryan. Cast your votes. Okay. Item 3, special designated liquor licenses. Firearm Enterprises doing business as a Roadhouse Lounge for an event on March 29, 2025 at the Nielsen Community Center. Number B, Native 2032 Winery LLC for beer and bingo 2025 event at the Guardian Angels Cafeteria and Auditorium on April 12, 2025. Fraternal Order of the Eagles of West Point for fish fry at the Nielsen Community Center on April 18, 2025. Fraternal Order of the Eagles West Point for birthday party at Guardian Angels Cafeteria Auditorium on April 23, 2025. Fraternal Order of the Eagles West Point for an event in the West Point Eagles Club parking lot on May 31st. And we got one more. Win or lose, we still booze. LLC doing business as Rush's Liquor Store for an event on April 8th, 2025 at West Point Community Theater. Do I have a motion to approve these liquor licenses?
Make the motion.
Motion made by Rusty, seconded by Mark. Cast your votes. Okay. Item 4, approval of the council affiliated claim for Hugo Plumbing and Heating for services and supplies.
Jerry's not here to defend himself.
Make the motion.
Motion made by Mark,
A second.
seconded by Tom. Cast your votes.
I'm shocked this made it on the agenda. I wasn't there.
Discuss changing the date of May 6th,
You asked for it.
We asked for a lot of things.
May 6th, 2000 to June 3rd, and July 1st, and August 5th.
Jerry can prove my point. How about a Monday or Wednesday? Mondays, we're not giving out away first day of the week.
Works for me. I talked to the treasurer though. She's the one.
Depends on the date of the month it is. What the date is,
Any day but Tuesday or Friday would work great.
but the date.
You pick.
I don't have a calendar. Well, the 6th would be a Tuesday, so the 5th would be okay. May 5th. Is that a Monday?
Yes.
That would be a Monday.
Or the 7th?
I'm not keeping track of every day we're moving this meeting to. I'm gonna say right now.
You'll get a reminder.
It's the principle of the matter.
Tuesday night, about 30 time.
There's a couple councilors that think, oh, I mean,
That's up there. I mean, I'm not voting for it, so. there you go.
whatever, just throw it out there. Don't care.
It's your guys' call, what you want to do.
If it's an inconvenience for anyone, it doesn't matter, but that's all.
Same time,
Don't care, yeah.
5:30.
Yeah, it'll be the same time.
We always just start with May and go from there.
Which one are you talking about, Monday or Wednesday? The 5th or the 7th? 7th would be even better for me.
Not necessarily good for claims.
What's better for claims Monday?
You want to do May 5th?
I think that would be better because.
Let's just start with May and we can
Or
reevaluate.
just for claims. That's just my.
Shay's giving me the dirtiest look of all time, so.
So we'll do May 5th
Yeah.
and see how it goes.
Reevaluate.
This is so convoluted. I mean, are we serious here? This is ridiculous.
Are you yelling at me?
I am. As a principal of a public meeting, we're gonna change the date every frickin' month.
No,
No,
just do it in one.
We're starting with one. This is gonna be 3 months in a row.
It doesn't have to be.
No, it is. We're talking about it right now. And I don't want to call you out on this thing, but this is BS. I think the last two are BS too. To be honest, it's a city council meeting. Unless there's a fire and the whole town's on fire, it should be on Tuesday at 5:30. If you can't make it, then and there's not a quorum,
Or play practice.
or that's on Jerry. I don't. That's up to him. He can choose what he goes to and what he doesn't do. I'm not Jerry's judge. So if If you want to go to Golf League, go to Golf League. If you want to go to City Council, go to City Council. It's straight up as that. If you want to go to Washington DC, go to Washington DC. If you want to go to wherever else you want to go to that. But the council meetings are at 5:30 on Tuesdays on the first Monday of the month. If you show up, you show up. If you don't, you don't. It's on you. To change it every month, the transparency of that's ridiculous. Nobody knows when the meetings are. Nobody knows when this. I could barely keep track. You didn't even know when this meeting was, except for I told you it was going to be on Thursday.
I didn't.
I don't think you want to do Mondays, isn't that fire practice?
There's something going on every night.
Every night, there's always something.
Yeah.
But that's my stance. We can all vote for it. Doesn't matter.
Okay, I decide that we're gonna leave it the same,
There we go.
Okay,
every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
Well, isn't that
That's the
reasonable?
way it
I
is.
think so. As a government entity, we should have a standard procedure for things. That's how government works, I thought.
Or you want?
He brought it, it's on the agenda, we can vote for it.
That's it?
Fine.
Okay, we're done with that?
Yep, okay, we got another add-on item 6. Approve the purchase of electronic equipment for police department. John?
Our computer equipment, our cameras and computer equipment, and our one cruiser is 6 years old and needing to be replaced. Looked into getting new. We had some issues with the one computer or camera and talked about replacing it with the same system we have in place now. In doing that, with technology changing as it always does, all that goes to the cloud now. We cannot keep doing what we're doing. Okay. Looking at cost and all of that, rather than waiting to do one year, two, and then in 2 years do another one, 2 years do another, the cost is going to keep increasing. This is something I'd like to do all at once, just to keep your costs down and move forward easily with it. And then also our computer systems for tickets, accident reports, and what we have to have that goes into the system to the cloud, which is what we have to go for. That was in the cloud is what's kicked up a little price on this one. You wouldn't even see that if you looked at it. Worst case scenario is, in order for us to do this, keep it cheap as it is now, the worst case scenario is what you're seeing at the bottom there, which was the number, we had $74,000, and we have 3 years to pay for it. That replaces all our camera systems and all of our cruisers, and it replaces all our computer systems that we need for citations and accidents. Like I said, if we wait 2 years to do another one, and 2 years to do another one, that could be the cost over that's going to cost. The positive on this is we have a state grant that we can get that will pay up to $7,000 off of that. And then every year we did it, Brett's here to back me up on that. The STOP program where we write citations is a pool of money that we use every year. We paid for camera systems for Bancroft and Beamer over the years. I can't see a reason why they would deny that. So that would take care of one of them. So the possibility, worst case scenario is I go by 74,000 right there, and then the taxes, we're not going to pay taxes, we're not tax interest.
Right.
That takes it down too. But over the course of this, we should be able to take it down anywhere from $7,000 to $13,000, depending on the grants. Are we going to get the grant? Sure, we should be able to. We haven't been turned down yet, but there's always that possibility. And there's always a possibility the STOP program may say, we go to the group, they may say, no, you only get so much. But the system, once we sign up for it, they want us to pay 3 payments, I believe, one right away after we approve it. So it'll be a third of what that 74,000 is, and then next year another third, and next year another third, but that would all go down according to the grants too.
So around this year, you're looking at roughly $13,000 in grants.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Possible, but
Yeah.
we've never been turned
Sure.
down for the state grant.
Sure.
In everything we've done, whether it's for our,
Well, this board's been turning out a bunch on grants, so well, you guys probably have better luck since you're
it's the
police
state,
officers.
the highway system, it's all for, yeah.
Write better grants.
They probably do,
Yeah.
apparently.
You said it's all gonna be going to the cloud, you don't replace it all at the same time. Is the old system gonna?
They cannot support our old system is what they're saying. They say once it
It's not
goes,
gonna work together then.
right, and that's another reason to replace it, and then if it does die, we're done on, and that's the issue.
That's what I was doing all 3 of them.
That's the point of it.
a little this time.
And then on the other side is, the computers we have are gonna be compatible for that October date of when you switch it over. So we'll have the 4 computers we need in place that can be used. I would like to utilize 2, if not 3 in my office, but that leaves 1 open for another department on the city to have. Doesn't really need to be refurbished. So those are 3 years old.
We got them in 2020.
Okay, sorry, 5 years old. So, yeah, they're still available, we've had to check, the date's checked on it, so it's just a matter of updating it. So, and that also prevents me from spending money out of my budget to put a new computer in play if we have laptops that we can, is what I'm saying. So, it's cost saving in a roundabout way. I need permission from you to purchase these so we can go ahead with the grants, that was the other thing.
We could save some money on the new car, but get advance electric tricycle.
Segue.
Segue?
You just pick it on that. I said, you're gonna have it.
If you want to pay workman's comp, okay, no problem.
Right.
Anybody have any more questions for John?
Just need a motion.
Yep.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Shay, seconded by Ryan. That's your votes. Yep. Thanks, John.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, I got a couple resolutions. I got resolution number 2025-3 to approve the invoice number 7812 in the amount of $3,000 for the project number 620083 Old Creamy Road, Manning. We just,
I don't have all the.
No, that's fine. Yeah, but he's pausing like we need a motion on each one, or what are we doing? Yeah, okay.
Need a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
on it to approve this resolution.
Sounds good.
Second.
Motion made by Shay, seconded by Ryan. Cast your votes. Okay. Got another resolution, 2025-4, to approve the application and final amount of $7,308.26 to Bruce Excavation for the canoe launch.
Yeah, I actually got a question about that before we, not that we want to approve it, but the, so people were telling me that maybe it's, I mean, is it just because it's this time of year or something that it's not as accessible, or once you actually get down the canoe launch, you're actually, you have to, it's that the sand's kind of going over it, or takes a little bit to get to the water maybe, or
It depends where the river's at.
Yeah.
Right now, the river's.
Well, I get that,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Maybe it's, I guess it's winter, I guess, obviously, but still, it just, people are acting like maybe it's not even as, or we're going on Jerry Ortmeyer's property even to get onto the,
No,
to get onto the river?
no. It's right down by the sewer plant.
Or, well, okay.
You know, that's where they did all the work.
I know what they did the work.
It's
You have to
it's
have-
barricaded right now on the other side of the
Yeah.
levee.
And it's barricaded right now because number one, this spring we have limited access to the south.
Yeah.
We have a lot of adventurous.
That's
folks
probably
going
what they're
down
talking
to
about,
the
because you
south.
get up to the levee and there's a barricade on the other side.
Yeah.
That's probably what they're saying, is they
Yeah.
can't access it.
Because they were
Yeah.
driving through there when deer season was, and the people down below were complaining that, you know, they were just going around there, and so we stopped that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But in the spring we'll have to put up some type of barriers to keep people.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, yes, I know Jerry Ortmeyer's on the other side of the river, but does he own some on, or maybe on this other side?
No, the way that works is they own to like.
The middle.
Middle of the river. Dale Schmager owns that one right straight across there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so.
Just, it was, actually just last night it was brought up to me, so, but I'll take it at that.
Check it out.
Yeah.
What do we need?
I haven't launched the canoe this winter, so gosh.
I wonder if you should put a sign on the other side, because, so I was gonna show it to somebody probably a couple weeks ago, and I got up to the top of the dike and I was like, I have nowhere to go and nowhere to turn around. So that's, like, if somebody else does that, that's not knowledgeable, that's not a good place
So you have people going on and off of the dike right now for construction too, so.
Right, that's what I figured you had a method to the madness, but just a little beware of, this won't go all the way through.
As soon as weather allows, that'll be opened up again, so.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I didn't talk to Shay.
Yeah, no, this is not us, yeah. Like I said, have not been down there.
Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Make a motion.
Motion made by Shay,
Second.
seconded by Mark. Cast your votes. Okay, I got one more. Resolution to approve 2025 to approve 2025-5 to approve application and payment number 2 in the amount of $375,385.11 to JEO Consulting Group A&R Construction for the West Point levee improvements. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Motion made by Tom. Seconded by Rusty. Cast your votes. Okay. Reports, I don't have anything.
Just a couple things. One, we're trying to work on the new phone system. I think we're slowly closing in on it to finally upgrade the system. One of the other things that we're looking into is how we pay our claims. Because right now, one of the challenges we're having is with the post office. And getting those checks out after you approve them tonight, they'll go out and mail tomorrow. We've got some places that just are taking forever to get paid for whatever reason.
So we're going to do it electronically or online, like ACH?
Well, we're going to go to the ACH process, and I think one of the things we need to make sure we clear up the logistics of the auditing aspect of it, the paper trail, and I think we're closing in on that pretty quick, so we're gonna probably move in that direction, especially with you guys doing the claims and everything, and approving the claims, that's gonna help that double signature process.
I think it's the Omaha Post Office. They're the ones that lost that lady's ashes.
Well,
Yeah, they used to call it snail mail. Man, if it was that fast now.
but I think we had a sizable check that took, well, last I knew, they still hadn't had it. They didn't get it yet. did
Got
they?
it yesterday.
They got it yesterday, but we sent it out last month,
It takes forever.
and that was a $12,000 check, so people are likely to for that. So they're working on that, I'm trying to get some of that stuff done. And other than that, it's just like I said, you know, you see what's going on here with the levy project and everything, so those are all moving full speed ahead.
Mark, you have anything?
Well, we haven't had a whole lot of snow this winter, but I've had people tell me, good job on getting the streets cleaned off. And, any updates on the new generators now that we've had the?
I was gonna ask that too, Mark. I was gonna ask that too.
It's somewhat complicated, but the gist of it is right now, NPPD is the one that's holding up all new generation going in because of the age of their infrastructure at the substations. And the ability that some of them have potential to feed back into the sub and create some problems for NPPD and their insulators and that type of thing. So they kind of put a, I don't know, what do you want to call it, kind of a blanket hold on everything until we get it resolved. But we're going at it from a little different perspective. We're trying to go at it from a little different perspective in that we're trying to replace our existing 4 megawatts that we lost when the enterprise went out. And that's kind of where the discussions are going right now.
Is it a conversion issue with NPPD?
No, it's the ability of it to feed back into the insulators that they currently have there. Their insulators can't handle the feedback into the substation. If there is a grounding issue, they have a tendency to explode. And because of the close proximity of the age of these insulators, it can also affect the substation itself. So, I guess the best way to put it is, NPPD just hasn't kept up on their infrastructure of their substations.
So they could have that problem even without new generation.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. And they realize that, and that's why they're overly cautious. In fact, they're so cautious right now with some of them, they're requiring grounding transformers. And even with the grounding transformers, there's concerns of whether or not they will still go ahead with it. Because one of the examples that we talked about in January was the potential for solar to come on, generators to come on. Then you start going out onto the grid, and then once you start going out on the grid, you got a potential to feed back into the system, but you've got no way to control the sun and the solar panels. So they're
So they're screwed.
yeah, there's no other way to put it. I mean, it's just that way, but
How long,
I'm trying to make a case where I think we should be viewed a little differently in that we're replacing our existing 4 megawatts. The other thing is we don't feed directly back into the sub. We feed back out onto County Road 18 into the 34.5 feeder. So potentially, Cumming County Public Power District could pick up what we put out. You know what I mean? So there's that opportunity too, based upon what they use, because they feed all the way down County Road 18 down to Tyson, not Tyson anymore.
Dairy.
West Point.
West Point Dairy.
So,
well, it'd still be nice to have them here. If we had kind
So-
of like where we lost the feeders coming into town, we'd have some help.
right.
So if MPPD shuts us down, are we going to look for these areas?
No,
Yeah, so have we paid for these yet?
no, we haven't paid anything.
Well,
All we paid her for some engineering fees at this point.
So these things are just sitting in some warehouse right now, just waiting for us to come pick them up and buy them?
Yeah, basically they're sitting in Omaha right now. Yeah,
Are they still like on site at a data center? Are they decommissioned?
No, they're on site in Omaha,
Okay.
at Caterpillar.
Oh, okay.
They're-
how long are they gonna, willing to hold them for?
Yeah, that's
That is one of the big questions right now, and, you know, we've had conversations with them, they understand what's going on with MPPD and what's going on, so they're not moving any generation out right now in Nebraska until some of these issues get resolved.
But somebody
Because we're on the same basis as, West Point, Curtis, Stewart, Kimball, who's the other one? There's another one out there. Anyway,
Somebody from Iowa could come in and just snatch them right up.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, somebody could come in and say they want them for backup for their own use, couldn't they?
They could, potentially, yeah. So,
Out of our control.
yeah, and they're really hamstrung us on that aspect of it, but like I said, we're working through Mean, we're working through JEO to try to get that resolved. They've been very unaware of a lot of generation capacity with some of the municipalities, which really surprises me.
Better to ask for giving us information.
Huh?
Better to ask for giving us information.
Yeah.
If they're unaware, then I guess they didn't even know in the first place.
I don't understand that. I mean, I really. that just-
Wait till they call up, say, we need power.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Start running the crank.
Oh gosh, did this get hooked up? Gosh, I
think, like,
didn't know what happened.
we can just go open the gates and take care of ourselves, and I don't care.
Yeah.
That's my thing on it.
That's what I said.
Okay, it's just,
Better ask
we'll just
for
go out there and
information.
open up the gate, and we'll generate ourselves, and I don't care about MPPD, what they're doing. What they're making the communities do right now is absolutely ridiculous. But they're the big brother of the deal.
Right.
And, I mean, like I said, I feel bad, Tom and I talked to Stuart, they're in $1.5 million, and you get nothing.
Yeah.
A town of 500 people, you know, I mean, it's just ridiculous. They didn't mention that when he started doing all this stuff.
Right, oh yeah, for sure, obviously.
One, and the downside of it is too, is they just put in that solar farm.
Yeah.
Right, so they just put in $1.5 million in generation, plus the solar farm. And if everything came online at once to Stewart, everything was, you know, the sun rose the right way and everything else, they would generate more than Stewart could use. So that would put them back on the grid. So they offered, look, if we get to that point, we'll just go shut off the solar. Well, that's not a secure way to.
Right, shut down on that grid.
Yeah, But anyway, so there are a lot of little logistics like that that are flying around out there right now.
Well, I've been hearing stuff on the radio about this NPPD board, that they don't know what is what.
We won't get into that.
Right?
I said we won't get into that.
It's an interesting situation for sure.
That's it.
Okay, Rusty?
Good.
Tom?
No,
Ryan?
Good.
Ray, or Shay?
So you were gonna say about the drainage, nothing back on that yet?
No.
Yeah. And the other day I saw they were fixing some potholes maybe on the highway. The state looked like they were maybe putting some asphalt.
Put some patch in.
Yeah. But we're still waiting on them to do more permanent fixes or?
I know we're gonna coordinate some of that with our street department and the Department of Roads. And I think your potholes, one of the first ones we're gonna target.
Nice. Because it looked like that was one that they were going after with the asphalt.
Yeah.
Probably for the
'Cause it's
15th time.
Right.
It's also a tendency to pop that out of there. pretty
Yeah,
quick.
exactly. That's, I mean, it's, I'm sure they've done it 3 times this winter already, so, okay.
That it?
That's all I know.
Okay, I just need a
make a motion.
motion made by Tom. Seconded by Rusty. Cast your votes. Okay. Thanks, everybody.